I want you to clear your mind completely. Now, try to actively suppress a single, terrifying thought for the next 60 seconds. It is nearly impossible. Our inability to control our own racing minds is a universal vulnerability. This vulnerability is exactly what traps a driver named Mud at 3:22 a.m. Pulling off a dark, rain-slicked highway, he steps into a diner illuminated by lights so harsh they look like a hospital. The sign outside reads, "Final Thought Cafe." The premise of this establishment is simple and highly specific. It does not execute its patrons. It strictly records whatever crosses their mind in the fraction of a second right before they die. Stepping inside, Mud is completely disoriented. There is no music and no conversation. The room is dead silent, save for the mechanical click and rewind of analog tape recorders sitting on every table, and the quiet whir of security cameras tracking his movements. In this absolute silence, the only thing Maud can hear is his own pulse. There are no distractions here, no way for him to look away from whatever his own mind produces next. Maud's instinct is to immediately turn around and leave, but he finds the front door locked. He is physically sealed inside the trap. A proprietor appears silently behind him and explains the single rule of the diner. Patrons are completely free to leave, but only after their final thought has been successfully recorded. The man places a blank cassette on his table, labeled with a timestamp 20 minutes in the future, 3:47 a.m. Maud threatens to leave. The proprietor calmly notes that if he flees, they will simply record it anyway. The trap is completely deterministic. The physical space actively heightens this pressure. Overhead cameras physically tilt downward to focus directly on his table, while the ticking of the wall clock seems to magnify with every passing minute. The diner is an architecture of total powerlessness. Every exit is a wall, and every minute that passes is a weight pressing down, making the simple act of waiting feel like a form of slow-motion violence. At precisely 3:45 a.m., the vintage tape recorder on Maud's table activates on its own. A solid red light begins blinking. The human brain has a fatal quirk. The more energy you spend trying to bury a specific thought, the more your mind obsessively monitors for its return. By trying to delete an image, you've already burned it into your retinas. Maud sits paralyzed in front of the blinking light, launching into a frantic internal monologue. He desperately orders his brain to block out images of crashing, falling, and physical agony. Under this extreme cognitive load, his mental defenses collapse. His overtaxed mind abruptly conjures a vivid, hyper-specific scenario of burning alive inside his vehicle. The clock strikes 3:47 a.m. The tape recorder halts. The red light shuts off, and the crushing silence of the diner returns. The mechanism has worked flawlessly. By weaponizing his deep biological imperative to survive, the system extracted the specific conditions of Mohad's death directly from his own peak anxiety. The proprietor picks up the finished cassette with calm satisfaction. Without a word, the heavy locks on the front door click open. Mohad sprints out into the rain. His psychological state shifts instantly from pure terror to an overwhelming rush of relief. He firmly believes he has survived the 3:47 a.m. deadline. Releasing the patron serves a specific structural purpose. It shifts the subject out of a sterile, heavily controlled environment and deposits them back into the chaotic physical world, where fatal variables actually exist. This illusion of escape is the most cruel mechanic of the system. The sudden drop in cortisol makes the victim careless, placing a deeply rattled man squarely behind the wheel of a speeding machine on a wet highway. Back in the driver's seat of his car, Mohad coals onto the highway, entirely convinced he has outsmarted the proprietor. His safety is instantly shattered when his phone buzzes. He receives an unknown audio file containing a simple instruction: play your last thought. Hitting play, Mohad hears his own fractured, panicked voice, recorded just moments earlier, explicitly begging not to die trapped in a burning car. A fatal sensory shift follows the playback. He notices the faint smell of petrol right before a warm drop of liquid lands on his hand. The objective reality is documented in a police report hours later. A severely burned vehicle was discovered on the highway. The driver was pronounced dead. Time of discovery, 3:52 a.m. Mohad spent his final 20 minutes subconsciously drafting his own execution. The recording provided the specific instructions he needed to cause his own demise. Miles away, the interior of the diner remains perfectly undisturbed. The proprietor calmly continues his routine. He files the tape away on a shelf. High above, another security camera pivots, waiting for the front door to open for the next arrival. The mechanical function of the diner illustrates the dread of pure fatalism. Human agency is entirely neutralized when placed inside a meticulously engineered, inescapable design. We assume we have total control over our minds, but when placed under enough pressure, you don't choose your last thought. It chooses you.